Hello again, friends, and thank you for joining me. We're going to be doing something a little bit off the beaten path today. I'm going to start with a question. The question is, would you like to try my Infinity bottle? And the answer is no, of course not. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Infinity bottle format, this is something that folks have taken to doing when you get a bottle that's not quite right for whatever reason. You know, maybe you picked something up on a whim and it did not meet your specifications, or for whatever reason just did not taste right to you, or you bought some cheap whiskey think it'd be okay and it really wasn't. And so we all make mistakes from time to time, and you get some form of this issue where you have a bottle that you just don't want the rest of, really. And you could dump it into cocktails, which is typically what I do. But you know, you'd really like to be using good spirits for good cocktails, and so is there a way to improve this? And the answer is the Infinity bottle, potentially. So the idea is you get an empty container of some sort, old bottle or what have you, and you fill it up with odds and ends. And as a consequence of that, you get a blend in effect. So it could be different kinds of whiskeys, it could be whiskeys from different producers, it could be whatever you want. The world's your oyster. Do whatever you like with your Infinity bottle because it's yours. And the hope is that after you add in enough of this stuff, that the good parts cancel out the bad parts from other whiskeys, and that you get something that's more or less palatable. So not my idea of a good time necessarily, and I can see why people do it, but it's not something I've done myself. I've typically just like given them away or poured them down the drain, or like I said, put them into cocktails and just try to get rid of it. But I'm open to the idea, and somebody asked me, Travis, thank you, Travis, asked me if I'd like to try his Infinity bottle, but this was an Infinity bottle with a wrinkle. So this was not odds and ends of bad, weird whiskeys that he was trying to get rid of. This was all one type of whiskey, and he had, through accumulating various store picks and various different bottlings over years, had gotten a really interesting selection of varieties of this type of whiskey, and these were all going into his Infinity bottle. And the whiskey in question is Elijah Craig. So you guys will know that I previously did an Elijah Craig barrel proof tasting from batch B520, so you can search for that and check it out if you're interested. But Elijah Craig is a brand that I have grown to like increasingly. I didn't really care for the entry level 94 proof, but I had taken a taste of the A120 bottling of the Elijah Craig small batch and barrel proof, and really liked that. Thought that was excellent whiskey, and have had really great pick from the Deedsville warehouses from Bourbon Crusaders, and am coming around on Elijah Craig. So very excited to try this. So we've got this whiskey here, which is from Travis's Elijah Craig Infinity Barrel, and I'll post a photo at the entry to this video so you guys can see. He's got a whiteboard that he's keeping track of what all's in there, and I haven't been able to fully decode it yet, but you can get the general idea. But we're gonna give it a try and see how it is. So just show you the color there. That is a beautiful golden orangey, almost like an ambery, like an auburn. Oh, and that smells just great. So there's a lot of really pleasant scents in there. There's a vanilla type of oakiness, but there's also caramel. There's also just like abundant, sweet, fruity, really gorgeous fruity aromas. And I'm getting that. I've talked about this before, and you guys will know that this is something that I always try to pick out. So Heaven Hill whiskeys have this note to me that is both metallic and citric. So it's I think of it as, I've said before, damp pennies or clementine, and it's something a little bit like that. So that's definitely in there. There's a yeah, the vanilla is just so creamy. It's just this really like a really sloppy wave of vanilla, and like sometimes that can be flabby and unappealing, but in this case is just delicious. It lapses a little bit. Like if I really sniff hard, it kind of starts to taste like a little bit artificial or a little bit chemical to me. So that would be the one nit I would pick with the nose. But no, otherwise this is smelling just fine. There's some aloe in there. Yeah, some. I might have thought this was a rye whiskey. There's so many of those rye flavors I normally get. Like there's aloe and there's um, eucalyptus and menthol and that kind of medicinal planty aroma. Hope you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, maybe a little bit of like chili pepper or cayenne in there. Yeah, this is super fun to nose, and it begs an interesting question, philosophical question. Maybe I'll take a sip first, then we can talk philosophy. Give that a little kiss. Yeah, it's not super expressive straight away, and I find that with the Elijah Craig sometimes they're more in the middle or the back of the mouth for me. Mm. Yeah, this is pretty sedate in the mouth. There's I can't tell you what the ABV is because it's a mix of all different ones. I mean, I'm assuming that most of them were probably in that 94 proof range, so I'll just use that as sort of point of calibration. Giving that a proper swirl. Yeah. Yeah, it really, unfortunately the nose really leads with this extremely powerful and really great kind of like this wall of aromas. And the disappointing thing for me is when you get that, you think, okay, this is going to be great, and then the palate just underperforms, and that's really the case here. So, it's got some interesting texture. I mean, this feels in the mouth like I might have guessed Evan Williams if I had tried this blind. It feels a lot more of like maybe like one of the small batch Evan Williams, like Evan Williams 1783, or maybe even the Evan Williams single barrel. But it's it's got some of that texture. It's just I think there's more of kind of like more of a spicy heat or a burn like around the back of the mouth and the top of the roof of the mouth and the kind of back of the throat area. There goes the FedEx guy. It's a peril of filming outdoors, I guess, but hopefully the backdrop is more interesting, so you can probably hear that truck going by. Yeah, more of that metallic note, that heaven hell note. Not bad at all. I mean, there's no flaws here or anything where I can say, oh god, that's really off, or that's a terrible note, or oh, this was clearly coming from an Infinity barrel with some bad components. And I mean, this tastes just fine. If I had I'm trying to put myself in a different frame of mind. If I had taken this as like a store pick or a barrel pick of Elijah Craig, I could go, yeah, there's a lot in here. And indeed, a lot of these components, I guess, were barrel picks. So. I guess it's a good thing that this wasn't life-changing whiskey because it'd be impossible to recreate. I'd be spending my whole life searching for this again or trying to reassemble those blend components here. But it's interesting. So blending is an art. I really do believe that. I don't think anybody can just throw a bunch of whiskey all together and make it taste good. And I do have respect and deference for blenders or people that call themselves master blender or whatever. Like I actually am convinced that is a real skill and an art and not something that anybody could just do. But that said, what if you tried that by random? Would it be any better than a master blender? Would it be worse? What are they? How are the odds? And I don't actually know. I mean, this tastes just fine to me. It's not a masterpiece, but it's certainly again not flawed or bad in any way. So it opens my mind to blending, maybe myself. So like something I'll do in small quantities is to just, I'll take, if I've got like 2 Four Roses single barrels and I've got like a sip or two left of each one, I'll add those to the same glass. And I did this with the 2 I had from Warehouse Liquors in Chicago. And I actually found out that I liked the result of that better than I liked the actual whiskeys in their isolation that they had. And each had kind of flaws that sort of were canceled out by the other one when they were blended together. So this is an interesting experiment. I didn't think it warranted a full review, but I was happy to chat about it for 10 minutes here with you all. So hopefully you found it interesting as well, and maybe you guys are inspired to go out and start your own Infinity bottles from maybe a single type of whiskey, or maybe a single distillery, or maybe a single region or something, or maybe you mix them all together. Who knows? Kentucky and Islay, why not? But in any case, this is a lot of fun to do, and I really appreciate the opportunity for you guys to share some time with me, and for me to share some whiskey with you, and just to exchange some thoughts. So on that note, I will close by just saying thank you for your time and attention, and hope to do this again with you sometime. So cheers.